Welcome to the Ben Daniel Podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Stephanie White is going through the rounds, giving her interviews after being named the new head coach of the Indiana Fever. And in one of her latest interviews, she gives us a brief glimpse on what she's thinking about this Indiana Fever team in terms of defense and a few things that she hopes to accomplish on the defensive end. Now, if anybody hasn't watched it, let's take a listen real quick, see what she has to say, and then we're going to go over some defensive numbers from when she was in Indiana the first stint and her time over there in Connecticut, and see how we can forecast moving forward. Let's take a listen, see what Stephanie White has to say.
About defense for a second. What does this, and again, I know you all will add players. The roster construct is by no means finished, but being better on defense, how does that start? How do you teach that to this team?
Well, I think first and foremost, we lay the level of expectation. Like, you're going to be expected to defend if you want to be on the floor. And it's not about being an elite one-on-one defender. It's about being a great team defensive team. And for us, that's going to start with ball pressure. It's going to start with execution of coverages, multiple coverages, not just one or two. We've got to be able to keep teams off balance, multiple levels of effort on that end of the floor, a commitment to just being solid, to forcing teams to take the shots that we want them to take, for forcing players to take the shots that we want them to take, and playing it from a basketball IQ standpoint. Now, I think this is a really smart basketball team. They have a high IQ. They understand the game. And this is, I think, something that they're going to embrace.
I think it's something that we're going to embrace as well. A lot of defensive talk coming from Stephanie White. Now, Christy Sides, for those of you who weren't aware, she was a defensive assistant. She made her bones on the defensive side of the basketball. However, we didn't really see that translate defensively over here in Indiana, especially last year and also the year before. However, if you're watching any of the games, you know exactly what five needed to be on the court that made this team look as best as it's looked on the defensive end. And that's with Caitlin Clark, that's with Kelchi Mitchell, that's with Lexi Hull, that's with Aaliyah Boston, and that is with Temi Fagbenle. Now, this is a team, that lineup alone, we have a couple straight up athletes. Kelchi Mitchell, straight up athlete. Temi Fagbenle, straight up athlete. You can tell by how they run, how they jump, how they go about their business on the basketball floor. You also have Lexi Hull, who is equated to a Dejanay Carrington. Their skill set isn't too different between the two. I might argue that Lexi Hull maybe isn't as consistent as a finisher around the rim as Dejanay Carrington was, but what they both add on the defensive side of the basketball is relatively similar. You have Caitlin Clark, who knows how to get her hands in the right places at the right time. She knows how to play passing lanes. She knows how to play help defense. She knows how to block shots. She knows where to position herself going to grab a defensive rebound. So Caitlin Clark knows what she's doing on that side of the ball as well. You have Temi Fagbenle, one of the better communicators that I've seen in the WNBA on the defensive side of the basketball. She knows how to show and recover. She knows how to blitz and get back. Temi Fagbenle is one of the better, if not the best, individual defensive player on this team. And then you have Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston can protect the paint. Hopefully we work on our hands in the ability to grab defensive rebounds. But Aaliyah Boston, I think from a defensive standpoint, that lineup alone, as long as we're communicating, we should be able to do what we need to do. Ball pressure, right? Kelchi Mitchell gives you ball pressure. Lexi Hull gives you ball pressure. Hopefully when we get in the paint, defensively on the paint, we're forcing them to make a decision. We're not allowing the offensive player to catch the ball, sit, and think and determine what they want to do with the ball in their hands. Do I want to go right? Do I want to go left? No, you're going to go exactly where our defense dictates you to go. And she's speaking about multiple levels of effort, not to continuously take shots, but NaLyssa Smith did not give multiple levels of effort on the defensive side of the ball. Lexi Hull, huge effort. Lexi Hull coming from the corner, crashing the boards, diving for loose balls. Lexi Hull, Erica Wheeler as well. Those two really stood out to me this whole entire season on doing whatever it takes on the defensive end to get the ball back. Execution. Execution, execution, execution. Are we rotating properly? Are we picking up where we need to be picking up? Or are we letting the offense walk the ball up the court, settle into their offense, and execute whatever X's and O's they want to execute, or are we going to play with purpose on the defensive side of the ball? Are we going to play with an attitude, with a nastiness, with a determination, with a grit that forces teams to acquiesce to our style instead of us always acquiescing to their style? Stephanie White, her first 2 years at Indiana, I know a lot of people are curious as to how those first 2 years went. So let's take a quick look, shall we? 2015, on the defensive side of the basketball, the Indiana Fever were 6th in the league when it comes to overall plus minus, being over 1.9 points per game. And then when it comes to 2016, they were 7th in the league with a minus 0.4, but still staying in the middle of the pack when it comes to overall plus minus. Defensive rating looked a little bit better. Number 5 in the league when it came to 2015. This is all with Stephanie White as the head coach. Had a defensive rating of 97.4. Then fast forward to 2016. Indiana Fever right in the middle as well. Defensive rating of 104. So Stephanie White has shown before, without an overly stacked and overwhelmingly defensive roster, an overwhelmingly skilled, talented roster, she still is able to get your team to play middle of the pack defense no matter what the circumstances surrounding the team are. That's something that we didn't see Chrissy Sides do at all last year. And just to add cherry on top, they were 2nd in the league when it came to steals in 2015. Now we fast forward 2023, 2024, one of those years Stephanie White won Coach of the Year. Here we are. 2023. Plus minus Connecticut Sun, 3rd in the league in 2023 at 3.7 plus minus. And then in 2024, plus minus, they are 2nd in the league with a plus 6.5. Very impressive. Hopefully some of these things can carry over to the Indiana Fever. When it comes to the defensive rating in 2023, she had the Connecticut Sun 2nd in the league in terms of defensive rating. Fast forward to last year, she had the Connecticut Sun 1st in the league in terms of defensive rating. When it comes to defense in general, this is where we dive a little bit deeper. This is 2023. On the far right hand of your screen, you'll see opposing points per game. Connecticut Sun in 2023 had the number 1 defense in opposing points per game, but you fast forward to this past year, 2024, and they are still number 1 in the league, only allowing 73.4 points per game. We need to scroll all the way down to 11th. Indiana Fever, one of the worst defenses in the league, allowing 87.7 points per game this past season. If we go over here to opposing field goal percentage, Connecticut Sun 5th in the league, holding their opponents to 43% from the field. However, with the 3-point line, only holding opposing teams to 31% from the 3-point line. Again, defense. Connecticut was good, playing to their strength, slowing the pace down, roughing you up a little bit on the defensive end, playing aggressive, playing with purpose. Hopefully, some of that translates to what the Indiana Fever are going to be doing this upcoming season. Now, the radio host mentioned it, the roster is going to look vaguely different, right? We know who we're keeping. We know Lexi Hull is going to be here next year. We know Kelsey Mitchell is going to be here next year. We know Aaliyah Boston. We know Caitlin Clark. We know the duo of all duos is going to be here next year. But who are we surrounding them with? What familiar faces are coming back? Can we expect Temi to come back? Can we expect Dantas to come back? Can we expect Erica Wheeler to come back? And who are we going to fill in those other pieces with? Are we going to go out and get a few defensive specialists? Are we going to go out and get a few 3-and-D specialists to help bolster this roster and bolster this bench? Those are the answers. Those are questions only Stephanie White has answers to, but us as Fever fans are tending to lean, yes, they're going to go out and get some big-time pieces that will help our starting lineup and that will bolster our bench and continue to help the Indiana Fever push towards an upcoming 2025 WNBA Finals run. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. This is the Ben Daniel Podcast. I appreciate all of the support. As always, take it easy.